Animators constantly film themselves as references for their work, which is why I thought a really cool way to use Gen AI would be not to do what I spent the last 8 months trying to figure out, taking my 2D work and going into this sort of like generative art world, but actually going the other way, using generative AI to create references for my animation work. Today, I'm going to talk to all of you about rotoscoping. It was patented by a man named Max Fletcher back in like 1915, where he kind of used this very, I don't know, Da Vinci-esque looking device that would project onto the back of whatever you're drawing on. You could draw on top of it with your actual character or whatever it is that you were animating. And it actually got used on the original Superman cartoon. I have a character here, this 2D illustration of this kind of like computer guy with legs, and he's got, I don't know, boots or something. I don't really know what it is. Whatever, he's like a futuristic thing, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I took this 2D illustration, I brought it into Firefly boards where I was able to use a partner model to generate a running animation. I tried a couple different things out. Usually Lumaray 3 works really well, but as you'll see, kind of got this like weird sort of pixelation. I don't know, it just sort of, it just doesn't look very like energetic to me. I probably could have maybe put a little more effort in my prompt. It's not really the point. What I'm trying to get at here is that I didn't really fully like it. And this is part of the reason why I'm kind of exploring this idea for my 2D animation, because while I do like using generative art and generative video to create sort of like animated scenes and take these like kind of characters that I convert into this sort of like fully rendered world, I don't like generative video with 2D animation. I just don't think it looks good. There's a lot of artifacting that goes on. Like you can even look at this one shot right here where my character literally just like, I don't know, loses a leg and then all of a sudden the other leg's a different color. The quality to me is not very good. I've always found this kind of interesting because like we can generate video now and be like, look at this person that doesn't exist. But like 2D animation, which I feel should maybe be, I don't know, easier. I don't want to say it that way, but like there's less detail and stuff going on. It just seems like I can't get it right. And I think maybe that's probably because there's less smoke and mirrors, less ways to hide the lack of detail, or, you know, less ways to hide sort of when it kind of messes up. And I feel like I can just see the stable diffusion. So I decided to use Google Omni Flash and it worked really well. I got this kind of like engaging sort of animation. I did do a couple generations to get here, but I really like this one. It feels a little slow, but I can always kind of fix that in my keyframing later. So I'm not really that worried about it now. And I actually kind of like that I'm gonna have some extra frames here to work with. From there, I do have to do this one slightly annoying process. I really wish that I could just import this into Fresco. Because for me, Fresco is the drawing app of choice. I think it's an extremely powerful app for illustration, and it's got a really nice timeline tool. I like animating in it. I've used it before. I've even used it on productions such as SpongeBob. So it's a really cool application. I like it a lot. I use it all the time, and I want to bring this video in. However, right now there is no support for importing like an MP4 or an MOV onto your animation timeline, which is kind of a bummer. There's a workaround. Like I said, it's just a pain in the butt. So I'm going to take this. I actually went here into After Effects and kicked out a PNG sequence. I found a loop point, and then I took that PNG sequence and I opened up my Fresco project as a PSD in Photoshop. And this part's really important. Before I did that, I created a motion sequence in Fresco, and you can see it here in Photoshop reflected as a smart object. Open that smart object up and just bring all those frames that you exported in that PNG sequence right into the smart object and save it out. When you reopen in Fresco, guess what? All your frames are on a timeline. So now you're able to import it. You just have to kind of do this weird roundabout method with a PNG sequence and Photoshop, and make sure you create your motion layer first so that it creates that smart object inside Photoshop. Once I had the video reference inside Fresco, honestly, for this one, I just started drawing over it. I basically traced, you know, but that's kind of what rotoscoping is. It's essentially just tracing. Remember that like crazy Da Vinci device? That's what that guy was doing. So I started tracing over this using my vector brushes. I really like it because later on I can then scale or shrink things down. I don't lose quality, and the lines just look really clean. And I got this thing that looked pretty good. I did take some liberties here with like kind of how I stretched out the body. If you look back at the reference, like the first kind of animation that I did of this character, sort of like this idle position where he's kind of bouncing up and down, the body kind of does have this very like stretch and pull when he kind of goes back up and down. If I was going to spend more time on this character, I probably would do more of that. I did draw that part, but it was like fully done by hand. There was no animation reference, no generative part associated with that. I think I would try probably to add some of that into this walk cycle so that the character feels more just like consistent. But overall, this was a really fun exploratory project. I really enjoyed kind of this process of doing the reverse that I've been doing and using generative video to kind of help give me a motion reference that I could then use to animate on top of. Does it save me time? Is it more efficient? Is it, I don't know. But like, look, I don't have access to a treadmill to film myself walking for this character, so I can maybe prompt and get something back in return that I can then do that with. It's a fun process. I'm enjoying it right now. I'm going to keep on doing it, and I'm kind of curious to see where it takes me. And I'd love to hear if you try this as well and see what you make. That's it for me. Like I said, I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing what you make next. Bye, everybody.